Hi, Romans here and welcome to another music review. I review every album from a viewpoint of a musician, as I am a singer, songwriter and a bass player for my own group Jakube. And last year we have released our debut album called Pursuits in Life. What makes it unique is that it's a pretty heavy prog rock without guitars. Instead you have drums, bass, saxophone and keyboards. You can check out 2 of our music videos on my YouTube channel. We're building our own monument and Fake the New Kind of Beauty, and also a studio live take of A Way to Oppose. In the description of all these videos you will find all the information about where is the record available. It's available on all digital platforms like Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, iTunes, Amazon, Bandcamp, but also in this digipack version of a CD with a very beautifully illustrated 20 pages long booklet. So in case you want one, all you need to do is contact me via an email, on Instagram, on Facebook, or you can get one through Bandcamp. And today I'm going to review the new album from Band Knee, You Know What They Mean.
Music review. Music review.
In my opinion, Band Knee is one of the most interesting and innovative bands in prog territory as of now. I think I've been aware of them ever since they released their 3rd album, Say So, from 2016. I think it was on some kind of a website that I saw the cover of the album and I was kind of like, wow, that's a cool cover, I want to check the band out. I've listened to a couple of their songs, but it wasn't until like half a year ago that I actually listened to their records, and it was mainly because in, I think it was like March or April, we went to see Haken live in Budapest with my wife, and Haken had a tour along with Vola and Band Knee. After the gig I talked to Ben. I remember asking him which record he would recommend me to buy from them, and he recommended Land Animal. Actually, I regret not buying all of their albums, and their previous album, Land Animal, we've been listening to it with my wife. Like, we were playing the crap out of that record, especially the track like Holy Ghost is just one of my favorite tracks. Ben even signed the LP for me. Maybe it wasn't necessarily the type of signing I had in mind, but it was cool. So that's from Ben. This is from Jessica, who's a bass player from a band. I think they're married. So their new album, You Know What They Mean, came out yesterday. And actually October is pretty crazy because 3 of the most anticipated records for me are coming out in October: Leprous, Alter Bridge and Band Knee. So as of now I've heard their new album 6 times. Let's do the review. The album opens up with an intro called Lansing, which seems like recorded at a gig when their equipment went haywire. And this kind of creates an illusion that you are at the gig and that the whole record is pretty much like their set list. Also, all songs kind of naturally progress one into another, and it seems like there are no breaks between the songs. It's just one very smooth piece of work. After that we have one of the songs that they shot a pretty adequate music video for, Bone Rage. This is just such a psychedelic, trippy, heavy, but at the same time very simplistic in its execution and instrumentation. It's a guitar fronted riff, and there's pretty much one riff that's being repeated over and over again and being transposed. This is definitely not a song I would expect from Band Knee. Also, there isn't really much of a melody you can grasp. And then in the chorus there are those super cool stops. I think it's a chorus. The second track, Give Us the Gold, has almost electronic beginning, and the chorus is much more reminiscent of their previous stuff, but apart from the chorus it seems like every part is different. Hold Me In is another track that they shot a music video for. It's got a great groove and a very specific atmosphere that was perfectly captured by the music video. It's got a fantastic chorus, and this is one of those songs that makes me so excited to be living right now, because there's so much great music all around. It just doesn't get as much appreciation and recognition as great music used to 30 or 40 years ago.
I'm afraid
Egg Replacer is dynamically almost a grunge song because there's this huge dynamic contrast between the verses that remind me of some of the indie bands, for example Falls, and then that heavy and loud chorus. Also at this point I've realized that there were no guitar solos on the album, and this is something that I've been talking about in my previous review of Slipknot's latest album, that this was usually something I used to criticize records for when there were no solos, because in that case music feels simplistic or incomplete. But similarly to Slipknot, I don't really feel it here. It's just, it's great the way it is. Cradle of Rocks is similar to Bone Rage in verses, in that we have that one riff that's being repeated. I personally prefer the second verse, where the addition of violin just makes it really epic. And the chorus is just very catchy, and it kind of sounds like a louder version of some electronic pop song. It's fantastic, really. Also, there's a short and simple guitar solo. Then we've got a short interlude called Level, if I pronounce it right, where we hear that riff from Cradle of Rocks being played to some ambient electronic music. It kind of sounds like being from the studio, and maybe this was the first time they came up with the riff. Another track, Love Me Not, is introduced kind of like on a gig, so this is to probably strengthen that impression that you are on a gig and you're watching a show. This is a very dark, intense and acid rock song, and yet again there's not really much of a melody to grasp, so similar to Bone Rage, this will be a song that you will need to listen to many times to actually get into. A huge contrast is created with the following track, Birdsong, which is very gentle and emotional little song on a piano, and I really like those ambient and experimental vocals towards the end. The first track released from the album was Catch Light, which they just recently shot a music video for, and I think that this song is probably the most representative track of the album. We've got that groovy guitar riff, there are some heavier parts, some parts reminiscent of their previous work, some ambient parts, so this song sort of seems to have it all. Garbage Shark is very sonic, soundtrack-like song. Again, it's so dark and trippy, and it explodes towards the end. Golden Hour creates that image of being somewhere in the mountains when the sun is shining. It's a very specific image. And the band actually enters only somewhere halfway through the song. Again, very interesting track. The final track on the album is called It Happens, which is autumn-like, chilling, and in terms of mood, brighter track that really leaves you relaxed after finishing the album. You Know What They Mean is a very uncompromising and challenging album. When I heard it for the first two times, I was kind of baffled. I was a bit surprised by the whole experience because there weren't really that many moments I would remember. There were not that many things I could look forward to when listening to the album next time. So I was like wondering, okay, am I gonna like this record? This is an album that if you listen to like 4 or 5 times and you feel like it's not growing on you, you just need to give it more time. You have to be patient, but it will pay off because it's a fantastic album. You should definitely check it out, and you should definitely support artists such as Bent Knee, artists who not only keep the progressive music evolving, but they also keep it fresh and interesting. And without the bands like these, then we wouldn't really have that much going on, honestly. You know, the old bands don't really do anything for the genre anymore. If you have never listened to the Bent Knee, I would probably recommend you to start with The Land Animal, but this should be your next stop. I love this record. I've heard it 6 times as of now, and I'm sure I will need to listen to it at least 10 to 15 another times to get fully familiar with it, but I am so looking forward to that process, and you should too. Have you heard the new album already? You can let me know in the comment section below whether you agree or disagreed with me. How much do you like the new album and how well do you think it compares to their previous stuff? You can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram. You can find links to both in the description of this video below. If you like this review, don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. You can check out my own original music, my live performances, my worst to best series. Quite a lot of other reviews as well. Thanks a lot for watching.